Hello, everyone. My name is Carlos from Quest, and I'd like to welcome you to today's Reconnect Dive Deep session. I have a few reminders before we get started. Attendees will remain muted throughout the session, and attendees can type their questions into the Q&A module in your Zoom toolbar. We will address any questions at the end of the session. And at this time, I'll turn things over to our speaker, Logesh. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Carlos. Good afternoon, everyone. Hope all of you are having a great conference so far. We are into the last afternoon of the conference, and one of the great things about this particular conference is everything is getting recorded, even though we couldn't attend some of those important sessions that are at conflicting times. We do have access to download and watch everything later. So I myself am having a list of items that I would want to do download and watch it later. So hope all of you have been having a good conference so far. With that, let's get started on this topic, which is essentially chatbots or digital assistants for PeopleSoft. So we have quite a lot of content to cover. So let's get started. I think first of all, this session was originally registered with Marcus Bodie as the presenter, so I'm not going to pretend that I'm Marcus Bodie. Marcus Bodie is the founder and president of PeopleMC, and I'm Logesh Balasubramanian. I'm managing director at PeopleMC, and I predominantly oversee the HR, PeopleSoft HCM HR technology projects in our organization. Everything related to HCM around in the periphery of HCM, like ELM, HR help desk, etc. All of those areas that I specialize and manage. Predominantly, my work has been in higher ed, healthcare, and public sector in the recent years. But when it comes to PeopleSoft HCM, the industry vertical doesn't really make a huge difference. So have been working with the application for close to 20 years now. So specializing in all various areas of PeopleSoft HCM. Now, specifically of late, HCM is one of the areas where the emerging technologies like chatbots, assistants, guided learning, etc., get adopted fairly quickly when it comes to the ERP landscape. So have had multiple opportunities where we have been able to work with different customers who are very keen to roll out and try out some of these emerging technologies. So the topic for discussion today, the chatbots and digital assistant, is one such aspect where we'll be working with one of the emerging technologies. Excuse me, I just realized that I haven't had my video on, so sorry for that. So here I am. With that introduction, we'll get started. And before we get into the topic, a brief note about who we are as an organization. PeopleMC Consulting, we are an Oracle partner, and as an organization completely entirely focused on PeopleSoft applications. We do everything that is related to PeopleSoft and PeopleSoft customers. So starting with implementations, upgrades, standard PeopleSoft projects, staffing your projects that you might run internally, all the way to providing a complete managed support services, completely taking care of your application, training various user bases you have in the organization. All the services that are needed by PeopleSoft customers are being offered at our organization. So if you have a moment, feel free to check out our virtual booth or drop in on our website, PeopleMC.com, to find more information. Couple of quick things. Over the years, we have accumulated a lot of specializations and certifications. Two important things that we want to highlight here. We are a SOC 2 certified organization, meaning we have a matured in-house processes to make sure the data, the sensitive and personal information that we deal with on our customer environments on a day-to-day basis is secure and safe, and we have process and procedures to keep things and avoid risk as much as possible. And we are also a Gartner recognized organization for our cloud services, essentially making sure PeopleSoft, anything that's to do with cloud related to PeopleSoft application, running PeopleSoft on cloud, and things like Oracle guided learning, Oracle digital assistants, which are natively cloud services that work with PeopleSoft. All these areas are where our key focus lies when it comes to Oracle Cloud, where it integrates with PeopleSoft touchpoints. So these are some of the key things that I wanted to highlight. giving, as we get into the final part of the year, the last few months, there is always a lot of interest going on with training. When it comes to training, be it utilizing the budget you have for the current year or having the need to get training going for the new year. Whatever be the case, over the next 3 months, we do have multiple public training classes that are available on our website that you can go and check out the agenda and find the details. If you're interested, you can register online. Close to 20 different classes on various technical and functional topics. If you have any specific need for custom classes, feel free to reach out to us as well. Here is a direct QR code to our training calendar if you're interested. So really wanted to rush through that portion of it, make sure you are aware of who we are as an organization and what services we offer before we get started with the topic for discussion today, which is essentially the terminology chatbot and digital assistant has been used interchangeably for a while now. Right now, it's virtual digital or virtual assistant, digital assistant is the trend, and that's also reason why we call it as a digital assistant rather than a chat. We'll go through that as in the presentation. I will talk about that as well. But the majority of the things, or pretty much everything that I'm going to be showing to you as a demo first to start with, is all delivered out of the box by PeopleSoft and Oracle Digital Assistant platform. So we'll talk about where the handover happens between the systems later in the session, but everything that you are seeing today is available for PeopleSoft customers to use, right? So there is a cost component when it comes to subscribing to the chatbot platform itself. I will cover that later in the session as well. However, whatever we are going to be seeing today is pretty much built out of the box, right? So it's not custom built for any specific customer. So that the reason I'm specifically calling that out is if you are interested to take this forward and there is a genuine interest in your organization to consider a digital assistant for a PeopleSoft application, you have a fairly high base of starting point, right? You don't have to start everything from scratch. Everything that I'm going to show today is something that is already available in the application. So this would be your literally starting point, which you can deploy and enhance upon. All right. Okay. With all of that said, let me get started. And for this demo, I have recorded a video that I want to go through and explain. So I'm going to talk through as the video runs on the background. This video is from one of our working PeopleSoft chatbot proof of concept as well. So we'll get that going now. All right. So anyone who is seeing the screen would be familiar. We are entering into a PeopleSoft application. In this case, it's a PeopleSoft HCM application. Depending upon the color of the screen, you can also guess what sort of versions we are working with. So chatbots were introduced in starting with PeopleTools 857. So when it comes to the tools dependency, application version dependency, etc., I will cover all of that after going through the demo of the chatbot itself. Okay. So I, as an user, in this case, as an employee, I am logging into the PeopleSoft application. So one of the basic things to remember is chatbots, virtual assistant so far, and what is delivered is essentially for what we would consider as end users of the application, primarily for self-service purposes, meaning users who do not spend a lot of time in the system. They occasionally log into the system to do certain specific tasks. Those kind of self-service users are essentially the primary audience for chatbot. The reason being, those are the audience, since they are not spending a lot of time in the system, they are the ones who are hard to spend time and train with, right? Because there are thousands and thousands of, be it employees or students or candidates or in case of finance application, it could be suppliers, different groups who could be a large audience that could be using this functionalities and might be hard to get to train everything due to the time and cost involved in doing that, right? So the primary focus of the chatbot or virtual assistants is for your end users of the application. So for this demo scenario, I've logged in as an employee and I'm landing on this home page with fluid tiles. So the home page tiles, these are all standard functionality that PeopleSoft customers would be easily able to recognize. Now on the bottom right-hand corner, you see there is a green widget over there. That's essentially the starting point for the chatbot. So when I click on it, it brings up the widget for the chatbot window. And couple of things I want to highlight here quickly is you can see there is a small logo and a green color branding that has been added, and it all essentially those are all personalization. So you have the full flexibility to brand and personalize your virtual assistant however you want to name it, however you want to brand it. You have full flexibility to do that. So in this case, it's a PMC digital assistant, and we just named it DD for lack of a better name. And the message, the greetings it gives is, hello, Razana, I'm Didi, your personal digital assistant. Here is something that I can help you with. Now, and a very important point to note here is, as I have logged into the application using my credentials as an employee, system already knows who I am because it's showing me my self-service. The same information is also available for the chatbots to use. So chatbots know that this user is Rosanna, an employee of the organization. So all the information that is being that's now going to happen through this chatbot conversation is based on the assumption that this is the user that I'm interacting with. So system already knows who is it talking to, right? That information is already available. All right. Now, just highlighting that particular aspect of it. And what I wanted to go through with this demo video is different kinds of use cases. Like when you think about the need for having a chatbot, what are all the different ways the chatbot can be used where they become helpful, right? That's the use cases that are possible with this chatbot. Now, chatbots are not a necessary piece of functionality in your system, right? You're currently using PeopleSoft applications. You're not using, most likely not using chatbots, meaning you're able to do all the tasks that the functionality the system offers, and your employees or candidates or suppliers are able to log in and do their tasks, right? So how does chatbots come into play? What are the value proposition that the chatbot offers, right? Those are the important things I want to focus during this demo. So the first scenario that I would want to talk about is, let's say I as an employee logged into the application. I'm fairly new to the organization, meaning let's say I haven't gone through any training. So one of the ways I could look at this chatbot being used is essentially providing a launching pad, helping employees to get familiarized with the system, right? What all they can do. So if I log in without having much information, knowing what all I can do here. So one of the first tasks I can see here is that this particular digital assistant lists out different areas that I can work with using the assistant. So there is requisitions, there is payroll, there is expense, there is employee directory, benefits, recruiting, and so forth, right? I'll pause here. One important thing that you'll notice here is in the cards that we just saw going, the candidate or employee was going through, there were assistant like benefit assistant, payroll assistant that are specific, that are functionalities or modules within the HR application. Then there is expenses and requisitions that are functionalities within the finance application. So that one of the primary purposes of this digital assistant is to bring together all these different skills or chatbots. Benefit assistant is a chatbot on its own. Payroll assistant is a chatbot on its own. Supplier assistant is a chatbot on its own. All these different chatbot skills can be brought together into a single digital assistant platform. And that digital assistant is essentially what is being branded as Picasso, PeopleSoft Integrated Chat something. So the Picasso is essentially the sort of framework that brings together all these individual chatbot skills. So depending upon what applications you use, what modules you use, you can bring about all these items that are applicable to you into this digital assistant. So when the employee logs in, they don't have to go find this individual, where do I go and find expense assistant, or where do I go find benefits assistant? They don't have to go searching for it. When they log into the application, it is right there as a digital assistant that brings in various skills together. All right. So that's the primary difference between a chatbot and a digital assistant. A digital assistant is more like an overarching framework where it's a collection of multiple chatbot skills. So that's the difference between those two terminologies. So I myself use it interchangeably. So throughout the session, we'll come across different scenarios where I would specifically call out the difference between those things. All right. With that, let me move forward. All right. So let's say now I was just earlier just seeing what was what are the various things available. Now I'm interested in doing something like I want to see, okay, if there is a benefit assistant, I want to look at my benefit. So I'm basically the next use case I want to talk about is I'm basically following the prompts that the assistant is giving me, right? So there was a prompt that says show my current enrollment. So I clicked on that and it gives me further detail. Do you want to see your benefit plan details? Do you want to see your dependent beneficiary information? I want to look at my benefit plan. So I'm just following the prompts here, right? I'm not looking for anything specific. So I want to look at my savings plans. So I'm following the prompts. Okay, look at my 401k savings. I can see that I'm enrolled into a particular plan. What is my contributions? I can see who are my dependent beneficiaries that have been set up in the system. I'll pause here. So basically, the digital assistant is based on the skill that Oracle has already delivered. The benefit skill is a functionality that Oracle has delivered out of the box. It has all these layers. So the prompts that we are seeing is basically taking the employee into more and more details, like starting with, okay, what do you want to see, and ask more questions to get them to narrow it down to a particular place, like this example where I have now gone to see, okay, who are set up as my beneficiaries, what sort of split I have between my beneficiaries. My spouse is getting 75% and my child is getting 25% is the split I have. So when I look at this information, maybe then I have a need. For example, I want to update something. So I put in a prompt to say, I want update beneficiary, right? So basically, I didn't form a full sentence. I didn't ask a question like, how do I update my beneficiary, or where can I update beneficiary? I didn't put any of that. I just put in two words saying update beneficiary. So this is an example of the conversational interface, right? So I don't have to word it in any exact particular way. As a user, I might think about doing something. I want to, like, just if we go to a website like Expedia and use an assistant there and say cancel reservation, right? That's all I need to type in. There, I would be then prompted to find what my reservation is. If I have multiple show what I have, what is that I want to cancel, right? So the exact same user experience is what we get here. So I wanted to update my beneficiary. The message is that, yes, you can update your beneficiary, but it's not done within the chatbot. So it's giving me an option, take me there so that I can update it there, or you want to do it later. So maybe later. So in this case, let's say I'll choose the option, take me there, which essentially opens up a page where employees can see their benefit summary. 401k savings is one of those that I want to update. So I can go to the page. I see the same 75-25 split here. I want to update it. I change it to say 60% and 40% and save this information. Now, if you notice, I'll just pause here. The user was just pointed to go somewhere, went there, and this is, as you can see, it's a PeopleSoft page where the update happens. User does not need to know where this page is. All that they care about is they were sent here to do this update. They are making a change and they're done with the change. I'm back to the chatbot here. Now, let's say I want to validate. I want to say, I want to check if what has happened with my update. Like say, show me my beneficiaries. And when I look at the designation, my update is already reflecting here. So I change it from 75-25 to 60-40, and that's already replicating here. So what it means is the information that the chatbot is working with is real time, right? So this is not some information that has been processed or stored anywhere. Chatbot is nothing but additional user interface that is basically real-time integrating with your PeopleSoft application. So we are invoking within the PeopleSoft application. It's referring to the same data that is in the application about the user. So the moment the update is saved to the database, it is immediately available through the chatbot as well. So there is no lag. There is no batch integrations, etc. happening. Everything is happening real time, regardless whether you do it via chatbot or outside the chatbot. Okay. So let's say I'm able to see my changes. I'm comfortable that everything has been updated, so I'm good with that, right? So, all right. Now let's say the first use case that I showed was the user, the employee, was being led by the chatbot, just following the prompts. They didn't know where to go find the information, so they're just following the prompts to go through, click different buttons, and perform a particular task. Now, the second use case I want to talk about is, let's say I have logged into the application and with an idea of doing something very specific. Let's say I logged in and my question is, I want to know my dental deduction, how much I'm being deducted for my dental plan. Then I putting in that specific question, what is my dental deduction? There is no prompting. System knows that there is a specific question, what is my dental deduction? And the response is, I will move this, your latest deduction for the dental plan. What is the plan? The plan is shown here, enhanced dental plan. And here is your employee contribution, $17.88. And here is your employer contribution, $4, based on your latest pay period information over there. So this is an example of how, instead of wasting time around being prompted, all of that, you have a specific question. You don't have to go find the page where the information is stored. You basically ask that question and the chatbot understands that question and able to respond to you with the answer that is very specific to the question you ask, right? So this is the second use case I wanted to show as an example. Now, the third example in here is, let's say I'm putting in a prompt saying that show paycheck details. So let's say I want to look at my paycheck. So it's since paycheck is a terminology, some users might call it pay slip. So it might vary from different regions, different organizations. So it checks to see, okay, do you want to go to your pay slip, and say yes. And there is a quick summary information shown here. So saying that, okay, in your pay slip, this is the summary level data, like this is your gross wages, taxes, deduction, and here is your net pay. So after the net pay is shown, like the base information is shown, you have the option to say show paycheck details, because paycheck could be typically a document, right? It could be a PDF document. So that document is not shown within the window over here, but provided as a link to say the user clicks on that link, it then loads the paycheck PDF document, right? Whether it is PDF or online page, however you have set up your paycheck, user is then taken to the paycheck document. So if I was only looking for some summary level info, then that was right there on that chatbot window itself. But if I needed to download my paycheck, then you can click the link to go and download it. So various methods in which the interaction happens, those are the examples that I'm quickly calling out here. Then let's say next I want to look at something about, I think I have a question. I'm not looking for anything in terms of documents or my specific information, but I'm looking at to say, when is my next pay? Like I want to see when I'm going to get paid next. I can ask that question. My next pay is scheduled on October 29th. That is coming from various things, right? What is my pay group? When it is set to, when is the next pay and date? That information is coming in. The next use case that I prompted here is, I wanted to look at my bank accounts, and there are 4 different results over here. So basically it brings about my bank account details, what all I have, in what order I have set up. So first is priority 1, then there is priority 2, priority 3, and the last account to take up all the balance, the remaining balance. So whatever information is available on the pages is also available on the chatbot window as well. Now, another example I wanted to show here is you can use chatbot as a communication tool as well, right? For example, let's say in this case, open enrollment period. When does open enrollment period start? So when we typically get to the end of the year, employees might ask questions around when does the period start, when does they end, so that they can go and make any changes, etc. So typically, when open enrollment is set up, there will be communications going out. But if they ask the questions beforehand, like if somebody comes in July, August and asks when does the open enrollment start, you can have some, based on the information that is in your system, in your benefits module, system can provide these details. Your open enrollment is set to start on so and so date, right? If the information is not there, then you can basically say contact benefits administrator, right? That might be my next one, right? So it's asked, do I need to do anything next? If there is not enough information in the system, you could always say contact the administrator, provide their details, or a support email address. All of that options are available, right? So all these are different use cases of how a user might interact with the system using the chatbot. Now I will pause here. There is still quite a few things to see out of this chatbot. But what I want to highlight here is, so far, user has been able to do all their activities within the chatbot itself, right? They didn't have to navigate through different pages. They didn't have to remember what tile, what home page, what sequence they need to click to get to a particular page to do that. So the whole idea about navigating the system, training the employees how to do something is taken out, right? And you typically don't train your employees how to talk, because chatbot is essentially a conversational interface. So as long as the chatbot is done properly, then you don't have to train users to use it, right? You just need to communicate about what the chatbots can do, but not train users how to use it, right? That's pretty common knowledge out there. So the next example that I want to show here is, all the while we have been using the chatbot for reading information, right? Inquiring about my data as an employee, what is my payroll data, what is my benefit data. That's what we have been using. The next example is essentially I want to do a transaction. I want to perform a particular activity through the chatbot itself, so that I don't have to go to a page and save or submit information. I want to do a full transaction using the chatbot itself. There are few skills that have been delivered for that. Absence request, if you're using absence management, is one such area where you get to do the submit an absence request through the chatbot itself, rather than going to a page and filling up a bunch of fields. You're basically conversing with the chatbot to do that. So for example, let's say my question was, what was my vacation balance? I'm clicking on absence balance. It's going to show me the different kinds of leave balances that I have. For example, it could be sick leave, vacation leave. In this case, my vacation balance is 922 hours. So I say I want to submit an absence request, right? So or I want to submit a vacation request. So request absence. So the chatbot starts prompting now to say, okay, when does your absence begin? So I need to use a format in which I need to enter, so giving me some direction. So I'm typing in, I didn't type in the exact format. I'm typing in 6th October 2021. And in this case, let's say ends on the same day. What kind of absence are you trying to submit? Whether it involves any partial days or full days. What kind of reason, what is the reason you're choosing for the absence? Taking personal time off. And do you want to provide any comments why you're taking this leave? Because it might go to your manager for approval, right? So collecting some comments as well. Just some unplanned trip is the reason, and confirmation, and go ahead and submit it. So, excuse me. So you have now submitted a leave request, right? So typically, if we are not using a chatbot, you would have go to a particular page and let me pause here. Go to a particular page and ask user to do this. You would give them what are the required fields, and there might be a job aid, or there might be a training screen or a training video to say how to fill in your absence request. Now, none of that is needed, right? All of that has become obsolete with the chatbot, because it's basically asking questions that any common using common language that anyone could understand, right? So that can be easily filled in and submit that request. Now, this sort of transactional ability with chatbots is available, delivered out of the box, as I said, for specific modules, right? There is one for recruitment module where the application can be submitted using a chatbot. There is one for absence management, and I'm pretty sure there is one for one or two on the finance side as well, where there is ability to do the entire transaction from within the chatbot itself. Now let's look at another scenario where I think I wanted to see, let me bring out that example. I think I wanted to say, when you have scenarios. Of course, not 100% of all expectations of users could be managed using the chatbot itself. There might be a lot of scenarios where they may need assistance from somebody else. So there is obviously multiple options to have that available within the chatbot. So if somebody is not satisfied with the answer that is provided, for example, when does open enrollment start? If you haven't configured open enrollment in your system at all, then the system wouldn't know when does your open enrollment start. So at that point, you might have to direct them to the administrator. So you can set up their contact details like the support email, support phone numbers, and things like that, that they could click and initiate the conversation from there. Now, there is one other item that is not shown here is chatbots can also be used. So far, all the examples that we saw today was essentially chatbot being used as to provide information that is hosted in the PeopleSoft system, right? Employees' data, all the things that we saw, benefits, payroll, everything is in the system. So it's basically retrieving the data, showing it to the employee, or updating it back. However, chatbot has also a framework called the Q&A framework, essentially, like an FAQ that can answer any question an employee might have, regardless whether the answer resides in PeopleSoft or not. What I mean by that is, let's say, when an employee logs into the HR system, behind the scenes, you might have multiple systems related to different functions. For example, you be using your OSHA workplace incident system, might be something else that's outside PeopleSoft, or your benefits may be managed by a third-party vendor. So there could be different scenarios where things may be done outside PeopleSoft. That doesn't mean chatbot can't answer questions around those areas, right? So you could load a simple CSV file, Excel file, into the system with the questions and answers to say, if these are the questions in which user has regarding health and safety, or regarding benefits, or regarding Medicare, whatever it is, these are the answers that you need to match to. Chatbot will learn. It is essentially a learning machine, like AI/ML functionality, where it learns from the question answers that we provide, and it would pick up the best possible answer based on the best possible question it could match to the user prompt. So you could make this digital assistant a true virtual assistant for your employee, regardless of which system where the data is coming from. So I as an employee, might log into my HCM system and say, okay, where do I submit my expenses? It might be a third-party system, but the chatbot could say, click here to go to this particular system and submit it there, right? It may not be in PeopleSoft, but the chatbot can help me in getting there and doing that, right? So that's also another use case that the chatbot handles. So with that, we'll wrap up our demo portion of the session. I think we're pretty much close to half time there. So we'll go back to our presentation. I already touched upon what is this terminology Picasso means. So it's essentially the name of the digital assistant that is delivered by the Oracle PeopleSoft team. Okay. All right. Now, I think I've been talking about the value proposition of the chatbot all this time. So essentially, if we have to just briefly summarize it, user experience, completely different user experience when users are working with chatbots. It's as if like users are being listened to, right? They are typing in something, they get a response, they can see things are getting done. It's much better than going into navigating to pages, finding some information. So it's psychologically a different experience to the user using a chatbot. So user experience is a huge value proposition of using chatbots. Training, obviously, if you have a well-trained chatbot, if the chatbot is trained well with your content, your system, then it basically cuts down the need to train all the other end users, right? So essentially, users don't have to be trained how to be conversing. They just need to know what all can be done there. So you could easily say, for any benefits related question, use this chatbot, and you don't have to tell them how to use it. They know how to converse with virtual assistant. They do on a daily basis on various applications that they use. So, and the third one is most important thing is on-demand assistance, right? So one of the uh, inherently negative aspect about training, any training that you need to run change management during projects is all that need to happen upfront, regardless when the user might be using it. So when we rolled out, when we do an upgrade, system upgrade, let's say the user interface for open enrollment is changing. The project for that might be going live in July or August. Open enrollment might be happening in November. So as if the change management has to happen as part of the project, then it has to happen 3-4 months before employee might be even using it. And most employees may not be even making any benefit changes. So how do you know who is going to be using it? So how to target your training to specific group? So cut down all of that. A chatbot is essentially providing this assistance when your user needs them most, which is while doing the task. So on-demand assistance is one of the major aspect of using the chatbot. So these are the different value proposition. The reason to have this here is many organizations that we work with, they have to internally build a business case to justify the investment needed for chatbot, right? And these are all essentially the demo that I showed you and this value proposition. This is the justification why you should be investing in chatbots, right? That's the whole idea to have it shared upfront. All right. Now, let's talk about what is currently available, right? So, I think this information was as of few images ago for both HCM and finance. So, at the top of the document or the top of the slide is essentially broken down different module areas and what the delivered chatbot skills can do. What a chatbot skill can do might be more granular detail, but at a very high level, you can see that across HR and finance, what are all the different modules and functions that have a chatbot capability? Absence, benefits, company directory, payroll, recruiting, expense requisition, and supply, right? These are all delivered out of the box. Each chatbot can do different things. That's what is listed on there for your information. The slides are going to be made available as part of the presentation, so you don't have to take any notes in here. It's going to be all available. Now, the other aspect when it comes to utilizing chatbot is what is that you need to be prepared for, right? The prerequisites to use chatbots in terms of application images and people's tools version. So different images have different pillars, like HCM, FSCM have a different base image in which the chatbot framework was released. So for HCM, it is 31, for FSCM, it is 33, and tools version starting 857. These are fairly old. Now, I wouldn't believe chatbot has been around for more than 2 years now, right? So it's already 30 years, so it's a fairly matured framework functionality that is now delivered out of the box. Many customers we work with are already on images and tools versions that are a lot more current than this. So if you are, for example, if you are on image versions 40 and 40 plus and tools version 859 or 860, all these are already available in your application for you to make use. Okay. All right. In terms of deploying this functionality, what is needed? First, I will do it at a high level, then we talk about a more granular level. We'll try to cover as much as possible as time permits. And also we'll leave few minutes, 5 to 10 minutes towards the end to make sure we address any questions regarding chatbots as well. Okay. When I say questions, I do see a question here. Let me see if I can quickly answer that. What data is stored in cloud when using chatbot? All right. Essentially, you get to choose what data should be stored on cloud. Basically, there is an option where you don't have to store any data on cloud. To use the chatbot servers, the chatbot related configuration elements, like what are the skills, what are the back and forth, what kind of how to word it. I'm going to cover some of the aspects into this next subsequent slide, but essentially you have an option where no information about your users have to be stored on the cloud. Everything resides in your database, and chatbots is basically reading and sending the data and back and forth, right? Chatbot doesn't store anything, meaning your only information on the cloud is the metadata to run the chatbot itself, nothing, no user data, right? That is one option. The other option is you can decide to log or record these conversations that are happening, so that you can be aware or do analytics on what kinds of questions users are asking, what kind of questions are being responded to correctly, where the chatbot is failing. You can opt to record these conversations, in which case all the questions that are being asked and all the answers that are being provided are stored as part of your recording, right? As part of your cloud account in your recording. Very similar to if we call any support line nowadays, we get an automated voice message that says this call could be recorded for training purposes, right? Exactly for that purpose, this conversation could be recorded, but you get to choose that whether you want to record your conversation or not. Typically, when you are in the initial phases of the deployment, you have just rolled out, you want to see how your users are interacting, what kinds of questions they're asking, how the chatbot is responding. If you want to collect that information, that's when you would do it. It's not necessary to do it once it is a feature that's been rolled out for a while and it's performing as you expect. No need to record conversations. So just answering the question about what is stored there. So I will mark it as it's been answered live. Feel free to post any further questions onto the Q&A window as well. With that, let's proceed with the deployment process. All right. So the deployment of chatbot itself is a fairly straightforward process. When I say fairly straightforward, to put it in perspective, may need around half a day of effort from your system administrator to basically get it working. Essentially, there is few administrative tasks to do on the PeopleSoft side using the integration broker, the packages to be enabled and configured. There are few tasks that needs to be done on the Oracle Digital Assistant platform side to make sure you have your own account and download the skills that Oracle has delivered and make sure they can interact with each other. Now, the most important aspect is, I'm not sure if I already touched upon, this whole chatbot functionality is powered by a service called Oracle Digital Assistant. That's a platform as an integration service, platform as a service option, Oracle PaaS option that users subscribe to. So if your organization is interested in deploying chatbots for PeopleSoft, they need to purchase service. There's a monthly subscription. And just like any other service, there are various options, pricing options, like whether it is based on number of employees you have or whether it is based on number of volume of interactions you have, etc. There are various options. So best to work with your Oracle Cloud Rep to size that out, how much you need to be purchasing it for. And once you have the subscription, then you can start making use of this. Now, one of the important things to remember is if anyone is interested, then Oracle provides free trial. There is a 30-day free trial that is open for public. Anyone could use it. For PeopleSoft customers, you can work with your rep or you can work with us. You can feel free to reach out to us where we can work with Oracle to have a longer trial period. So not many organizations will be able to make decision in 30 days, in which case we can work around a model where you have more time to build your proof of concept and make it working before you want to deploy it, right? All those options are available, but I do see a question, does ODA reside in Oracle Cloud? Yes. So Oracle Cloud, when we say Oracle Cloud, that is a very generic umbrella term. There is Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, where you basically purchase servers and storage and you do whatever you want to do there. Then there is Oracle Middleware or Oracle Platform as a Service offerings, like ODA is a platform as a service offering. Then Oracle Software as a Service offering. You have fully built softwares that you can use, like HCM Cloud, ERP Cloud, etc. So this service, Oracle Digital Assistant, is a platform service. So you are essentially buying the chatbot platform. And one more very important thing to remember is when you purchase license to this ODA platform, when you subscribe to this service, in addition to PeopleSoft service, you can plug in this chatbot to other applications as well. I believe they say up to three applications is what I remember. Meaning you can do it with your PeopleSoft applications, you could finance, HCM, etc. You might have a service desk that might be another. You might have an Oracle e-business application for something else. Whatever be the application, as long as it's a web application, chatbot can reside in that application. Okay. So you are essentially purchasing that service. That's the subscription that you do with ODA is not specific to PeopleSoft. You can use it with other application as well. Couple of questions. Does ODA reside in Oracle Cloud? Yes, it is. Is it available for Oracle Government Secure Cloud? I believe so, but I would say that is something very specific to, it might vary due to your scenario. So I would say best option is to connect with your Oracle rep to get that answer. But we have done such demos to Oracle government, even US Senate office as well. So I know for sure those options are available, but best to connect with Oracle rep to confirm that as well. All right. Okay, so that's around the deployment aspect of it. As I said, if you have subscribed to Oracle service and if you have PeopleSoft system is on the tools and app version that we just showed earlier, getting this up and running is like half a day's worth of work, right? That's how simple and easy it is. Now, what I mean by half a day's worth of work to get it run is enabling what is delivered out of the box. All the services that we saw today in the demo is delivered out of the box. So making that work, making sure whatever I showed in the demo works in your installation is the initial portion of it. But that is not the same version you will end up taking to production, right? When we talk about a virtual assistant that should cater for all of your employee requirements, employee needs, or supplier needs, or candidate needs, you're talking about a fairly wide base of users, and you want to make sure your virtual assistant is able to handle all different scenarios. It's like what we would call like field tester, right? You want to make sure it can handle all the different diverse questions that might come along, different areas that it might need to answer and things like that. So what we call that is essentially the deployment process. Once you have it running in your dev or demo environment, what is the process to take it to your production, right? How do you train and personalize and extend your chatbot to cater for your production requirements, meaning it can handle your live audience, right? So what is the process to do that? So I've broken down that process as a flow so that it's easy to understand what is involved in that. So we will go through that. We have a lot more slides talking about how to more detailed deep dive. I don't think we'll have time for all of that today. So we'll focus on what is the process flow, what all needs to be done. So first thing is we'll need to download the delivered skills. So when you set up your account on Oracle Digital Assistant, you will need to download. There is just like your phone app store, there is a marketplace where these skills are all available, delivered by Oracle for PeopleSoft. All those things have to be downloaded. And when you download it, you can clone or extend it by creating a new version of it. Most likely, what we would want to do is what we recommend most customers, I believe, it is cloning, right? The reason being, the difference between cloning and extending it is if you're extending it, you are essentially keeping the Oracle delivered version as is, and you are adding your content on top of that, meaning when Oracle makes further changes, you would be able to make use of it. When you clone it, you are basically creating a new version for yourself, and you are basically detaching it from what Oracle is delivered, in which case if Oracle delivers any updates, then it won't automatically be applied on your end, right? So depending upon the use case that I showed you today, payroll, benefits, etc., pretty much comes very well mature as chatbots out of the box, meaning I just have to extend them. I don't have to clone them. And so whenever Oracle is releasing further updates, I want to take them up. So it's better to extend them. So I'll choose to extend them or to create my custom version. And then I will have to personalize it. Now, personalizing is where essentially making the chatbot my own, right? So we saw there were things like I can name the chatbot, I can put color codings to it. Those are all at the skin level, right? Those are things that are happening at the very top. But within the chatbot itself, there are 4 areas that you can personalize, like utterances, intents and entities, question and answers, and dialogue flow. I will explain what each of these items are, because we don't have enough time to deep dive and show everything in this session. So essentially, utterances start with anything that the user says. Okay, I'll come to this. Anything that the user says or types in the chatbot window is an utterance. So they're basically uttering something, right? The delivered out of this box skills comes with a variety of utterances where each skill is trained on. So for example, if you remember, I had a question, what is my dental plan, right? Or I had a question, I might have a question, what is my absence request, right? The term absence request is what it is looking for. So when it sees absence request, it's no, okay, this person is looking to do something with his absence management functionality, right? Your organization may not be using the word absence at all. Your organization the user base might be referring it to as leave request, right? Absence may not be a term that is used quite familiar in your organization. So employee might type in, I want to submit a leave request. And the chatbot needs to be trained for that, right? So utterances are basically looking at what is the library of words and things that are delivered by Oracle, making sure it covers how your users would say it, like what are the common terminology, and if not, then enhancing it, right? That's essentially what you mean by personalizing the utterances. Now, just so that I'm clear, nobody have to sit and train a chatbot to understand all 100 ways a user might ask a question, right? User might type in anything. If there are 5 words, there could be 50 combinations that 5 words could be said, right? So we don't have to train all of that. What the system will look in the utterances when a user types in something is what we would call as intents and entities. Essentially, intents meaning what is the action they want to do, and entities meaning what is the data that they are providing, right? So I would like to submit an absence request, might be my sentence. The system doesn't care about I would like. Absence is what system cares. That is an intent. In this case, I would like to submit my absence request, submit absence, right? Or request absence. That is the intent that the system cares. So it will know to look for what is the intent that the user is trying to do and find the best match for it. And that's the training and the machine learning that happens behind, so that the digital cloud platform is meant to train and learn and relearn and continue to improve upon all the questions that come in, right? That's the purpose of subscribing to that solution. So utterances is what everything the user types in, what all different formats. Intents and entities are what is that they are trying to do, and entities are what are the data that they need to provide. So for example, to submit an absence request, I need to ask for a start date, I need to ask for an end date, I need to ask for an absence reason. So all those are different entities. So let's say if you have to customize your chatbot, you have your leave request, but as part of leave request, you want to make, in addition to start date and end date, you want to make them enter a start time. Let's say when it's a partial absence, you want to make them enter a start time for the absence. Let's say if it's not delivered in the skill out of the box, then you would go and add it, because that's an entity that you are trying to collect in addition to what is delivered out of the box. So you will go and collect that. So those are the reasons utterances and intents may have to be changed. And then I briefly touched upon the question and answers, which is basically like an FAQ. You don't have to use a specific module in PeopleSoft. You can just create a huge Excel CSV file of questions and answers that the chatbot has to answer, regardless whether the functionality is used in PeopleSoft or not. So you can build out your FAQ, frequently asked questions. If your HR department, benefits department, payroll department already have an FAQ as part of their support, you can just take that and upload it into the chatbot and train it so that it can answer those questions. It doesn't have to direct them to the payroll team or benefits team. So basically using a simple Excel file to upload the FAQ so that the chatbot can answer your user's question. So that's completely your information that is the chatbot is being trained upon. So that's an area that you want to personalize and extend. And the final aspect, more advanced of the four items, is the dialogue flow. Dialogue flow is essentially the sequence of how the chatbot prompts the user. So for example, the very first example that I showed you in the demo where user is looking at the benefit skill. What do you want to do? I say, show my benefit summary. It lists everything. What do you want to do? Click into the 401 savings plan, then click into the 401k plan. So when user is acting upon a particular prompt, what all it should do, what all it should show next, those what prompts it should give the users, what all options should be there. That configuration, setting that up, is called dialog flow. Whatever we saw today is all available out of the box. I didn't go and set them up. If I want to change anything, that's when I need to go and make changes to the delivered skills. Everything that we saw today is delivered out of the box. Okay. So only when you want to have your own custom flows and make changes to it, you would want to do that. So these are the four areas that typically needs to be evaluated and personalized to your business requirements to take what is delivered by Oracle and deploy to your users, right? This is the core aspect of the deployment process, okay? And pretty much all of this is done in the ODA platform. Nothing happen, none of this happens in PeopleSoft, right? Because utterances, intents, question answer, dialogue flow, all these are metadata that resides in the cloud ODA platform, cloud servers. All this happens there. So typically when you want to go through this process and do it, either you work with a partner who have gone through and provide expertise to do this, or you train your resource in the ODA platform to be able to do this so that you can build and maintain your own chatbots, right? So either of these options are available to you. Then once you do these, go through this process, making sure it's personalized for your usage, you deploy and start using it. After you deploy it, or even through, as you go through the training process, your chatbot collects a lot of insights, right? I mentioned it to earlier. Whether you want to record those chats and collect insights, you have an option to set it up. And it basically collects what all questions are coming in, how the chatbot is responding, how many it is able to respond properly, what sort of matches it is making, what percentage it's matching. Something might be 100% fit, something might be a 20% fit. And what is it responding? Everything can be recorded, and there is very detailed insight so that you can train your chatbot based on that insight. So there is a feedback loop. So for example, let's say you rolled it out on the first month. There were a lot of questions to this chatbot about a particular area. There were questions about within open enrollment. Maybe there are a lot of questions on HSA plan health savings, right? Maybe the HSA was the most frequently asked question. So you could add more questions or training to that specific area. So you use the insight to further enhance your chatbot skills. Okay. So it becomes then a feedback loop to continue to enhance and use it. All right. I think I will, it's pretty much right on time. This slide deck has more details, like how to do all of this. There are screenshots of how it is done in the ODA platform. So we'll leave that as is. But I'll stop here because I think this is a logical point to end there. I'll see if there are any quick questions that I can answer. I don't see anything new. So I would say thank you very much for all of your time today, and hope you all had a great conference. Good to see you maybe in another time or another conference in person. All of you have a great weekend. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.